At Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California, the New York Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tuesday night baseball is presented by Verizon. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. The Toyota Times sales event ends May 31st. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. By the Better Network, Verizon, better matters. By Tri Honda, hurry to your local Tri Honda dealer for great deals on the 2016 models. And by People's United Bank NA, see what know-how can do for you. Well, the warm waters of Southern California have been kind to the Mets over the last 3 days. They've observed some long home runs off Met bats here in California, and the Mets continue their series in Los Angeles tonight against the Dodgers. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dodger Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play Game 2 of their 4-game series against the Dodgers. Jacob deGrom will be on the mound for the Mets tonight, and he should feel awfully comfortable on the Dodger Stadium mound. After all, Jake was the winner for the Mets in both Game 1 and Game 5 of the National League Division Series on this mound last year.
You know, it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. You see the numbers. In Game 1, he was overpowering and beating Cy Young Award winner Clayton Kershaw. Then he had to come back in Game 5 here and face Greinke, a Cy Young Award winner also. Was not as dominant, but got the win anyways. 2 earned runs and 2 starts on the road. He had 3 road wins in the postseason last year.
So after that performance last year, he was great in Game 1, could not be touched, 13 strikeouts, and then had to bulldog his way through Game 5. Long term, what's the reaction from that?
Well, you know what's interesting, Gary? It's hard to believe, but I think there is another level for Jacob deGrom to get to. And when you have these kind of building blocks in a career, he's probably going to get there. A little disjointed April, but you'll probably see him, although coming off a tough start in San Diego, start to really get it going.
The Mets knew going into the season they might have dominant starting pitching. They've had that. What they didn't know is what they were going to get from their bullpen. They knew their closer, Jeurys Familia, was top-notch, but the rest of the bullpen has really fallen into place.
Well, it's really been a bullpen by committee. If you look at their left-handers, Bastardo has been kind of 50-50. When he's great, he's great. He's had some tough outings, but they've been picking each other up. Blevins has been great as the specialty lefty, and then you look at Reed and Robles and the versatile Verrett. It's really been a nice committee of bullpen arms that have been picking each other up.
And at the back of it, Familia with a 1-2-3 save each of the last 3 days. It's the Mets and the Dodgers continuing their series from Los Angeles. All the action coming your way on SNY. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon. Current Verizon Wireless or Fios customers go to sny.tv/Verizon all season long for access to unique Tuesday night baseball experiences. The more runs the Mets score, the more you save. For every run the Mets score against the Dodgers and Rockies, you'll save 1% on select tickets to the upcoming homestand May 17th through May 22nd. Last night the Mets scored 4 runs, meaning fans already received a 4% discount. For more information, visit Mets.com/runs. Road Ahead presented by GMC. Mets have 2 more to play here in Los Angeles the next 2 nights, then go to Coors Field for 3 before they come home for their first series of the year against the Washington Nationals. That will start a week from tonight at Citi Field.
Our military hero of the game, U.S. Army Sergeant Ryan Paul Tira.
Southern California. Mets have won 3 straight. They go for 4 tonight. First pitch is coming right up.
It's time.
Little roller up along first, behind the bag, it gets through Buckner, here comes Knight and the Mets win it!
What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
All the words of the venerable Vin Scully, who is being celebrated throughout this, his final year as a Major League broadcaster. And even before the games, the umpires come out, as they do every game here at Dodger Stadium, and wave at Vinny, and he waves back in mutual tribute. Juan Lagares leads off against Alex Wood, and we're underway. Wood, the former Brave, facing the Mets now as a Dodger.
Well, he's always pitched well here at Dodger Stadium, even as a Brave, but coming off a game where he gave up 3 home runs, he's been a little disappointing for the Dodgers. Those are his Toyota numbers for the season.
Lagares leading off tonight and getting the start in right field as the Mets put together an unusual lineup tonight against the left-hander. Curtis Granderson getting the night off after hitting a leadoff home run against the lefty Scott Kazmir last night. And Wood gets a generous call on the outside. It's 1-2. Alex Wood, now 25 years old, University of Georgia product, drafted by the Braves in the second round, came to the Dodgers last summer in a three-way deal with the Marlins. That's driven to right field. Puig coming on, diving to make the catch. Well, Puig, robbery last night against Lagares over in right center, and tonight in shallow right field he takes another one away from Lagares.
Well, there's been criticism occasionally that Puig's not always ready to go. Well, he certainly was ready to go with the first batter of the ball game. What a fine catch in right field, just snaring that off the top of the grass.
And Juan's got to be thinking, I got to use a different part of the field. Right field is just not working with Puig out there patrolling. So one exciting out and nobody on, and now has Dribble Cabrera. 1 for 4 last night. Cabrera keeping his batting average over 300 for the year at 304, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
So rookie umpire behind the plate, Nick Lentz, his strike zone so far has been very generous. You have to pay attention to that.
Here's that catch again.
We got such a great jump on the ball. And, you know, that's one of those plays. You don't make that or touch that. That's an inside the park home run to start off the game.
Wood quickly ahead on Cabrera 0-2 with David Wright hitting third in the order tonight on deck. And it's ruled out to shortstop. Corey Seager makes the play, and there are 2 out. Here's your Mets starting lineup brought to you by Geico. Michael Conforto in against the lefty that dropped into the 6th spot in the batting order. Eric Campbell getting another start at first base. Lucas Duda sitting against the lefty. And the red hot, all of a sudden, Kevin Plawecki in the 7-hole behind Conforto.
Flores swinging the bat a little better also.
Moved up to hitting 5th tonight. Neil Walker again out of the lineup. The hope is that he'll be back in there tomorrow as he tries to fight off the effects of a bruised shin suffered in San Diego. Here's David Wright, 0 for 4 last night. David in the top 5 in the National League in both walks and strikeouts. Been able to keep his on-base percentage up at .397 despite a relatively low batting average of .247.
He's got a streak of walking in games, right? 9 games in a row he's walked.
Just one shy of his career high. And Wood misses away 2-0.
What is the epitome of a funky left-hander? He's a guy, when he first came up, you thought that he was going to be a star in this league. He's never gotten to the point, mechanically wise, where he's been able to repeat that funky move.
Good changeup, 2-1 to right. Well, he's got the Chris Sale delivery. He just doesn't have the Chris Sale results. Sale off to a phenomenal start with the White Sox this year, as is that entire South Side pitching staff. 3-1 now to right.
Last time they won it, right, in 2005, it was really their pitching in the South Side. Getting it again this year.
And David fouls off the fastball, 3-2.
Well, defensively behind Alex Wood, a little different defense. Got the 2 young players, Jock Peterson and Corey Seager, playing shortstop. Carl Crawford, the veteran, brought to you by Coors Light. This defense, Turner and Gonzalez on the corners. There's Monty Grandal, and I can't miss Chase Utley playing second base tonight.
Did notice that. 3-2 coming, and David with a bad cut at a breaking ball, and Wood has a strikeout to finish off a 1-2-3 first. First time in 24 games the Mets have gone 1-2-3 in the first. by Hyundai. 6 left-handed bats in there against Jacob deGrom tonight. That might be doing him a favor as much as he struggled against right-hand hitters so far this year.
Well, you see his numbers, Land Rover numbers. You were discussing, Gary, last year right-handers batted .181 with a .251 slugging. This year, .351 and .514 against deGrom. So left-handers are welcomed.
And he starts off with the left-hand hitting Chase Utley, who takes a strike. Utley came off the bench last night, went 0 for 2 with no incident. Utley having a terrific start to his season, hitting leadoff, something he had rarely done in prior years. And he laces one into left center for a base hit. That'll head toward the gap and roll all the way back to the wall. Utley to second, takes a turn, and he'll hold on there with a leadoff double.
Well, that looked like Utley 7-8 years ago. Fastball down and away. He goes with it with that short stroke and has so much carry on it that it splits the outfielders and goes all the way to the wall.
7th double of the year for Utley, and so deGrom, who gave up a ton of extra base hits early in the game in San Diego in his last start, gives up an extra base hit to start his night. Corey Seager, the number 2 hitter, 0 for 2 off the bench last night. And he takes a fastball for a strike. deGrom in San Diego gave up a run in each of the first 3 innings. And he gave up 4 extra base hits combined in those first 3 innings. Very un-deGrom-like performance. Lost that game to a magnificent pitching outing by Colin Ray, who carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning.
Well, deGrom has been, it had a weird start for him, of course, in April. First child, but he has not been the dominant pitcher that he was last season when he was an all-star.
1-1 to Seager, who's hitting at .256, and he takes the pitch down, a slider, 2-1. Well, the radar gun certainly shows that deGrom's numbers and his velocity are down, but there's also a hop to his fastball that's missing.
Yeah, and he pitched up with his fastball a lot by hitters. We haven't seen a lot of that this year.
That's it out to left center field. Over in the gap goes Conforto. He won't get it, and it goes to the wall. Utley will score the game's first run. Seager pulls in. Back-to-back doubles for the Dodgers, and they're off to a 1-0 lead.
Well, good approach so far by the Dodgers. They're taking that fastball from deGrom, who's trying to place that away, and they're just going with it. Both Utley and Seager split the outfielders. Almost the same exact pitch to Seager. A nice hitting, not trying to pull that ball and going the other way.
The Dodgers have had trouble scoring here at home. 10 straight games they've scored 3 runs or less at home. They've averaged 2.6 runs per game at Dodger Stadium this season. Here's Justin Turner hitting 3rd in the order tonight. Justin 1 for 3 last night. He wore deGrom out in the postseason last year. And he tries to hold the swing, and he went around. Turner went 5 for 6 against deGrom in Jake's 2 starts in the League Division Series last year. Of course, nobody else seemed to be able to get Justin out either. Went 10 for 19 overall in that series. And a rougher start to the season this year for Turner, as it has been for deGrom. Roll toward the middle. Runner will advance. Cabrera makes the play for the first out. Seager now at 3rd with 1 away.
Well, good professional at bat by Turner. Using the middle of the field. Ground ball to the left of Seager. He knows it's not hit hard enough. Easy to advance on that play. And defensively for the Mets, Conforto, Cespedes, Lagares out in right field. I'm not going to see a lot of that. I see the Lexus defense. Right, Cabrera, Flores, and Campbell gets to start first with Plawecki, who's hot right now behind the plate.
Mets already down a run. Will play the infield back with Adrian Gonzalez at the plate. And he takes a knee-high strike. Earlier in this road trip, we saw the Mets play the infield in the first inning in a scoreless game. Different circumstance here, and Terry Collins has the infield back. And Gonzalez will get the run in. Fly ball out to left for Conforto. Tagging at 3rd is Seager. And he'll trot in And the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead. So Gonzalez, who hasn't had a hit in his last 33 at bats at home, doesn't need one to drive in the run, and it's 2-0 LA.
Well, this is not a coincidence. The Dodgers certainly have a game plan against DeGrom. Sac fly to left field, using the big part of the plate, and the fastball down to both Seager and Utley. Heads right on the baseball and split the gap for 2 doubles.
Well, this is reminiscent of Game 5 for DeGrom, isn't it? Gave up a couple of runs in the first inning of that game and then was able to settle in and get through 6. And it has seemed that that's been his mode more this year than that 13 strikeout dominance that he showed in Game 1. There's Monty Grandal up with 2 out. He takes wide for ball 1.
Gary, I doubt you'll have Noah Syndergaard up in this game.
Well, Syndergaard was up in the first inning of that Game 5, and remember, finally came in the 7th inning and blew away the Dodgers for an inning. 2-1 to Grandal. Grandal didn't start last night with the left-hander on the mound. And he takes a pitch on the inside for a strike, 2-2. Grandal hitting at .250. His season got off to a late start, was on the disabled list with a forearm issue. Just his 15th start. 2-2 coming. And it's bounced into the shift. Flores there to play it. Side retired, but the Dodgers played a couple against DeGrom in the opening inning. Doubles by Utley and Seager, and it's 2-0 LA. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, it's Daily News Live on SNY. Brought to you by Citi.
I like how you just keep it simple. I love that about you.
Minimalist. Yoenis Cespedes will lead off in the second inning against Alex Wood. If you remember Game 3 of the division series last year, Brett Anderson started the game for the Dodgers, and Wood came on in relief. And Cespedes hit a home run into the second deck at Citi Field against Wood.
That was, I remember the crowd just erupting at Citi Field. That was prodigious.
Cespedes 11 home runs, ties him for second in the National League. 31 RBIs, leads the league.
That was the blowout win for the Mets, right? That game.
It was the one game where they could breathe. It was the one game that Greinke and Kershaw didn't start. Cespedes, Flores, and Conforto against Wood in the second.
Well, the thing about Wood is there's a lot of tilting of his shoulders, a lot of arms and legs. Although I will say he simplified it from his early days with the Braves, if you can believe that.
They're going to have to explain that to me. He misses wide with the changeup, and it's 3-1.
You mentioned Okajima the other night when he was relieving for the Red Sox, never used to look at the plate. Wood had a little bit of that in him also.
Dangerous spot here for Wood, behind on Cespedes, 3-1. 10 homers, 28 RBIs over the last 19 games for Yoenis. And he takes his big cut and fouls it off, 3-2.
Watch where he places the ball. He stays very close, not a big leg kick, but he cups that baseball, and that unusual motion puts so much stress on your shoulder.
I think it's got to be tough for the hitter to pick up the ball from behind his back to his release point.
Yeah, you pick it up and then you lose it again.
Line left field, base hit for Cespedes. Crawford gets over and cuts it off. And so Cespedes has the Mets' first hit, a leadoff single in the second.
Well, they keep trying to fool him when they're full count or behind in the count with change-ups and breaking balls, and he's just too good of a breaking ball hitter. He stays back even though he's a little bit out front, but he's so strong that he's still able to hit a line drive.
Cespedes with a base hit. The guy who was traded for him, Michael Fulmer, got the win for the Tigers tonight as they beat the Nationals 5-4. Second win for Fulmer.
2-1 right now.
Didn't pitch great, but pitched well enough. Ryan Zimmerman hit 2 home runs in defeat for the Nats. Flores takes a strike. Only 2 walks for Bryce Harper tonight.
Only 2.
0 for 3, 2 walks. Flores hitting in the 5-hole tonight against the left-hander.
Horses for courses, loves hitting here at Dodger Stadium, as you saw those numbers on the graphic.
Third straight day Flores has been in the starting lineup with Neil Walker still out. The hope is that Walker will be in there tomorrow.
But what has happened, and people said, you know, he needs to be in there a couple of days to get it going, but he would play a day and go 0 for 4. It's hard to put him back in the lineup, but now he's swinging the bat better. Very important for him to get going.
1 for 3 last night, had a painful stolen base along the way, and he takes a changeup for a strike. He had cuts on his bridge of his nose, on his forehead, on his chin.
And our producer Greg Picker said, I didn't repeat it, that he thinks it was the helmet. It was the helmet that bounced around and hit him 2 or 3 times.
Said the helmet hit the knee of the fielder, then bounced off his face a couple of times. Said it didn't hurt. Ground ball past the mound, and Utley gets to it. They're behind the back flip, but nobody's there. Seager had moved toward the ball, not the bag, and so when Utley tried the behind the back flip, it went only into the dirt, and it's an infield hit for Flores.
Well, sometimes when you're hitting well at a stadium, it's because of happenstance and luck. This is just an easy ground ball, but well placed. I don't think there's anything really Seager could have done here. By the time he gave up on the play, I don't think he had a chance to get to second base, and Cespedes didn't slide again.
And I asked about that after last night when Cespedes got doubled off second base. He still has a little trepidation about sliding because of the thigh injury that he suffered when he went diving into the stands and then re-aggravated. Remember, he missed nearly a week because of it. Broken back grounder by Conforto. Utley goes to second, but a wide throw. Cespedes will come in to score. Flores goes to third, and that cuts the Dodger lead to 2-1. So Utley, trying to get the middle runner, makes a bad throw, and the Mets get a gift run.
Well, the ball was hit so softly by Conforto that Utley had to kind of rush his throw. And Seager's such a tall guy that that throw was way off, not even close. And instead of getting that middle runner, he gets no one, and the Mets get a run.
So Utley charged with the error, no RBI. A run is in, first and third, and nobody out. For Utley, his first error of the season. And a chance for Kevin Plawecki now to cash in further. Plawecki has revived on this road trip, getting a chance to play virtually every day, and all of a sudden the extra base hits have come in droves. 3 doubles in San Diego, a home run last night.
Wood's already given up 4 unearned runs this year, so maybe this is have been a problem in his starts all year long.
And Plawecki lays off the first pitch changeup. Stopped the swing in time. Ball 1. Cespedes started with a base hit. Flores with an infield single, and then the error on Conforto's ground ball bringing in a run. And you see what Plawecki's done recently. 4 extra base hits in his last 14 at bats. And he drives one to left field. Crawford comes on but has to play it on a hop. Flores will come in to score to tie the game. Kevin Plawecki stays hot with a line drive single to drive in a run. And the Mets get the 2 runs right back to tie the game.
Well, we just continue to say every at-bat by Plawecki lately has been a good at-bat. Just fastball, down and in, that quick bat and all that speed in left field, and Crawford played it very conservatively. Flores should have went back to third right away, not been halfway, but it didn't matter because it dropped in.
So still nobody out. Now Eric Campbell is batting 8th in the order. Campbell, who started Sunday in San Diego and had a couple of hits and drove in a run. And he lays off the first pitch changeup for ball 1. So a lot of off-speed stuff for Wood in these first 2 innings. Pitched a 1-2-3 first. First time in 24 games the Mets hadn't had a first inning base runner, but they have gotten the first 4 men on here in the second. Another changeup, and it's 1-1.
Get some good swings though against Wood. Saw Wood strike out David Wright in the first inning on that breaking ball down and into righties. We have not seen it since.
Wood has never beaten the Mets. 7 career starts, 0-3, 4.35. That's driven out to right. Puig is in front of it, tagging his Conforto. He's not going to move an inch against Puig's arm, and that's the first out. Another hard hit ball. Yeah, Conforto had to go back to draw the throw, but he never had any intention of going anywhere.
Well, I think what was funny is that Conforto, when he saw that it was going to be caught, he went back with intention of trying to take the extra base, and then he realized it was Puig, and he just shut it down wisely.
Best outfield arm in the game right now?
I think so. Yes. Reddick has a pretty good arm in Oakland.
Cespedes,
Lagares. Lagares is different. It's real accurate.
Now DeGrom. We saw Steven Matz allowed to swing the bat in a couple of bunting situations last night. Dodgers look for the bunt here from DeGrom.
DeGrom's the best bunter of all the Mets pitchers.
And facing a left-hander, so more likely he bunts. Grandal throwing behind Conforto, but he gets back easily. Conforto at second, Plawecki at first. Not a lot of speed on the bases. And DeGrom offered at that bunt attempt, and that's strike 2. Juan Lagares waiting on deck.
I mean, you almost want to let him swing because the first 2 attempts at the bunt were just not very good at all.
Well, Dodgers still look for the bunt, and DeGrom bunts the 3rd strike foul, and that's the 2nd out. And we're talking about the arm of Puig and the arm of Cespedes. Here's a look at both.
Well, the 2 Cuban outfielders, they both have just amazing arms. Here's Cespedes all the way in the air and not even close at home plate. And this was amazing because of how deep it was. Ball off the barrier there in right field in Colorado and in the air to third base to nail the runner at third, who had no idea he was going to be out.
End of story.
Yes. Oh, there you go. That's right. It was Story.
No. Puig and Cespedes both can wow you with their arms. They'll both occasionally miss a cutoff guy here and there. but you give him a little bit of a pass.
If you have an arm like that, you want to show it off, Gary. That's why you see that occasionally.
Here's Lagares with 2 out and 2 on. He hit the ball hard his first time up, a sinking line drive that Puig made a diving catch of in right field. Second time in this series, Puig has robbed Lagares. Two runs home in the inning. The Mets have evened the game. And Wood misses with a sinker. 1-1. Lagares has seen plenty of Wood. 4 hits in 19 career at bats against him.
Look what Peterson plays, Gary. Never seen a center fielder play that deep.
Certainly not against Lagares.
Yeah.
Wild cut by Lagares at the changeup, and it's 1-2. We saw how deep Crawford was playing against Plawecki. That enabled that base hit to land. So now Wood with a chance to get through the inning with no more damage. Ahead on Lagares, 1-2. And Juan takes inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
These are all mini tests for all these players. You know, resting Granderson and Duda. How's Campbell going to do? How's Lagares going to do leading off? Show your manager if you deserve another chance down the road.
Mets will face another lefty Thursday night. The best of them.
That's right.
Kershaw. Lagares stays alive.
Well, at least you didn't just say just another lefty. I mean, the lefty.
No, it's the top of the food chain when it comes to lefties. The Warren Spahn of his generation.
Where in the booth you get excited to watch him pitch.
I mean, early in his career, it was Joe Torre who compared him to Koufax, and you know that was a little unfair, but he's making it a lot closer than anybody thought was possible. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Lagares. And that's wide. And a full count. That'll get the runners in motion. Conforto at second. Plawecki at first. They'll be running with 3-2 and 2 down. As Drupal Cabrera would be next. Wood taking a long time getting a sign from Grandal. 3-2, and what'll he do?
Well, he's been mostly throwing fastball and changeup, so maybe Wood is looking for that breaking ball that he threw to David Wright down and in, something a little different. See what Grandal sets up.
Runners go, and it's popped up. Got it in on his hands, and Seager goes back to get it. That retires the side. Mets get the benefit of a Chase Utley error and score 2 to tie the game. 2-2 in the second. The remainder of the series, Noah Syndergaard tomorrow night against the rookie, quote-unquote, Kenta Maeda. And then Thursday night, Bartolo Colon looks for an encore against Clayton Kershaw. Jock Peterson leads off in the home second, and Jacob deGrom throws a fastball for a strike. Peterson didn't start last night, came in for defense late. Last year, a bifurcated rookie year. He was an all-star last year because he had 20 home runs before the all-star break. After the all-star break, Peterson hit 178 with 6 home runs. Wound up at 210 for the year with 26 homers.
Well, he's changed his bat angle a little bit when he's addressing the pitcher. He kind of drifts it out over the plate, but I don't think he's changed his mindset. This young man just goes up to the plate, swing as hard as he can, and hit a 500-foot homer.
Has 6 home runs this season. Tries to hold the swing and stopped it in time on the slider. 2-2. Yasiel Puig hitting 7th in the order on deck. Carl Crawford hitting 8th in the order behind him. That's a lot of investment into a 7 and 8 hitter.
Well, you know, when you have a large payroll like the Dodgers have, they've got a lot of expensive players, but I wouldn't say they have a lot of great players, or at least not at this point in their career.
Well, they took on Crawford's contract. That's driven to left center. Another drive the other way by a left-hand hitter, and another extra base hit against Jacob deGrom. Peterson with a leadoff double. Well, we saw Utley do it. We saw Seager do it, and now Peterson joins the extra base hit parade.
Well, what this has to tell deGrom and Plawecki is that that fastball away is not going to be a strength, at least early in this ball game. They're going to have to do some work inside, and they're going to have to throw a few more changeups against these left-handed hitters. But again, Gary, sorry, we're not seeing that extra hop from deGrom. Right. That's the difference.
Well, it's that loose-limbed fastball that we saw in the All-Star game that just had that extra bounce to it. Hasn't been there so far this year. Here's Puig. First time this year, 3rd time in his career he's batted 7th. And he hits a shot. David Wright with a great stop. Peterson dives back. The throw is wide, and Campbell can't make the tag. David with an incredible stop, but the throws continue to plague him, and he's unable to get an out on the play.
Well, once he made the fantastic snare of that ground ball, he looked to second first, thought he had a play, and by the time he tried to regroup to throw the ball to first base, Puig has a lot of speed, and if it's not on the base, you're not going to get him.
They're going to charge an error to David Wright. I mean, the score is supposed to separate the stop from the throw, but that seems a little harsh.
I think it's harsh because you're looking at the look at second base also.
So 2 aboard, nobody out, and the number 8 hitter, Carl Crawford. 3rd time this year. Crawford's hit 8th. Hadn't done it since 2011 before this season. Crawford has become a shadow of his former self. Former star in Tampa, and he flies one foul.
Gary, this is my feeling about scoring. When a ball is hit on the nose by a hitter, and a defensive player makes an unbelievable play just to keep it in the infield, I can separate that and give the benefit of the doubt to the guy who hit the ball 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a tough one because in the scorer's view, once he stands up with the baseball, all it takes is a routine throw to get the out at first, and that's why it's an error.
My extra factor, though, he had to look at second base to look him back, and then that's a little extra piece to that is not normally there.
deGrom ahead 0-2 with the pitcher Wood on deck, and Crawford bounces the slider foul. And David Wright, just a phenomenal play.
And it was on a short hop too, and it was behind him. And sometimes you just throw that leather where you think it's going to be, and when you've played enough games as David has, most of the time you come up with it.
You know, he does a lot of stretches to get his back ready for the game. That was a different kind of stretch. And Crawford takes high, 95 from deGrom, 1-2.
First time we've seen deGrom elevate the fastball against the left-handed hitters.
Alex Wood, not a particularly good hitting pitcher, on deck. 1-2 coming. And Crawford bounces it down to Campbell. His only play is going to be to first. 3-1 put out for the first out as the runners move up. Peterson to third, Puig to second. 1 out. So now it's Wood, 2 for 9 this year, lifetime 111 hitter. We'll see whether he's asked to do anything crazy or just swing the bat.
Well, this is where National League Baseball can help you as a pitcher. You're going to have the pitcher up. You have to say to yourself, okay, I got to punch this guy out. If I punch him out, I have a chance of getting through this inning.
If Dave Roberts has a squeeze play in mind, keep in mind Jacob deGrom, one of the best fielding pitchers around. And Wood takes a rip and fouls it off. Is every pitcher now back from the opposite side? Is that a rule now?
I don't get it. I mean, there was a day that they wouldn't let you hit like that because they didn't want your arm to be protected. But now you can wear the gear, so it doesn't matter.
And deGrom quickly ahead 0-2. Well, that was the apocryphal story about Davey Johnson refusing to let Dwight Gooden bat left-handed. Doc insisted he was a better left-hand hitter.
We'll talk about this in May because it's not true.
Here's the 0-2. And it's on the outside corner, strike 3 called. So deGrom uses just 3 pitches to strike out Wood. And that's a big second out, his first strikeout of the night.
Number 26, Chase Utley.
Fastball away. We were talking about Nick Lentz, the home plate umpire, has been giving a little on that outside corner and makes that call. Good pitch.
So 2 out, 2 in scoring position, and now Chase Utley, who opened the proceedings against deGrom tonight by lacing a double to the gap in left center and came around to score. Utley's been a middle of the order hitter most of his career. Before this season, he had only had 11 games in his career where he batted leadoff. 23rd time already this year as he's found himself a new role. Peterson at third, Puig at second with 2 out. Jammed him and he fouls it off, 1-1.
You know, it's interesting the comments from the Mets about Chase Utley and retribution. David Wright led by saying, hey, we beat them. That was retribution enough. But there was a day that this is the perfect time to send the signal because you have an open base. And it would be almost automatic to do it here. Not in today's game. A little different.
Well, for Utley's part, he expects the Mets to retaliate. There was a story, I think Christy Acker related it, about Utley playing golf this past winter with Eric and Tyler Goodell. Of course, Eric pitched for the Mets last year, and Utley said to Eric Goodell, just don't hit me in the head. I mean, he expects it. That's the way he played the game, and it's the way he expects the Mets to retaliate. And whether it happens or not, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it happened last year when Matt Harvey drilled him when he was with the Phillies after a couple of Mets had been hit.
Yeah, that was within a game, so understandable. But, you know, it's hard for me to criticize because I'm not in the clubhouse. I don't know how guys feel in today's game. It's just that's one of the things that have changed, whether it's good or bad.
Utley goes down on the slider. Good pitching by deGrom to work himself out of a crisis in the second. Back-to-back strikeouts for Jake as he gets Utley flailing at the slider. After 2, Mets and Dodgers tied at 2. Russell, Bogarts, who else?
Seager, Lindor.
Lindor, that's what I forgot. Third inning as Dribble Cabrera leads off against Alex Wood in a 2-2 ball game. Cabrera bounced to short his first time up. It'll be Cabrera, Wright, and Cespedes for the Mets in the third. As was the case his first time up, Corey Seager playing way over in the hole against Cabrera and leaving a lot of the middle open.
Well, you mentioned that Wood has thrown a lot of changeup, so you're more apt to pull that pitch.
There's a fastball there, and it's fouled off.
To me, it tells me that Seager, the youngster, might be a little better to his left than he is to his right, so they're trying to make up for it.
And interestingly, with 2 strikes now, he's moved a little bit further toward the middle, figuring Cabrera will cut down his swing a little bit. Terry Collins is trying to give a lot of folks some days off during the 17-day stretch. Granderson sitting tonight. Duda sitting tonight. I asked him if he was going to give Cabrera a day off. He said he does not want to come out of the lineup. He feels great right now, has no interest in taking a day off. Reaches for that changeup, and Wood strikes him out. Third strikeout for Alex Wood. 1 away. Time now for greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Phillies tonight beat the Braves 3-2. Each of the Phillies' last 7 wins have been by 1 run. Adam Morgan pitched a gem tonight. Imagine that.
Whistler with a pretty good game too, but Adam Morgan was the guy last cut out of spring training. He did not make the ball club, then the injury brought him to the big leagues.
Phillies are now 5 games over 500, 19-14, maybe the biggest surprise in baseball this season. David Wright takes ball 1.
Well, you had to put me on the list. I really was equating them with the Braves. I thought they'd have the same kind of season.
Braves are now 7-24. Is it 1-16
at home?
Worst start at home since the 1913 Yankees, who started out 0-17 at home. Two-0 to Wright, and David takes a fastball wide, 3-0.
Well, you're seeing a lot of different things. The Braves won a lot of 1-run games at home last year. The Houston Astros won a lot of 1-run games, and that's not really happening for them this year.
Astros got shut out tonight by Trevor Bauer and the Indians. The Astros now 13-21 after making the postseason last year. Cespedes on deck. And Wright takes it low, ball 4. That's the 10th straight game now that David has drawn a walk, matching the longest streak of his career.
Number 52, NYN AT
So the Mets have a 1-out base runner, and you would think, batting in front of Cespedes, that he would walk less.
I don't understand that call. 3-2 changeup. You know, he's got a good enough fastball. Keep it down and away to Wright and make him put it in play.
The numbers on Wood tell you that he's thrown his changeup 17% of the time this year. It seems like more closer to 40% so far tonight. So now Cespedes, who we told you hit that monstrous home run against Wood in the postseason last year, had a base hit, hard hit into left field his first time up tonight and scored a run. And he lifts this one along the right field line. A long run for Puig, who was playing over in right center. And Puig gets there and makes the catch. That's a terrific play. He had to go so far to get to that ball. And then pull up short of the sidewall to catch it in foul ground.
Well, we've seen the defensive talent of Puig already in this game twice. Robbing Lagares in the first inning, and here running a country mile to get to that ball, bouncing off the wall and throwing the ball back into second to keep Wright at first.
I mean, the difficulty of the play, the catch doesn't look like much, but from where he started, he ran an enormous distance just to get to that spot.
It's a 6'2", 235-pound man. covering that distance.
Here's Flores, and he fouls back the fastball. Flores had an infield hit his first time up. Right at first and 2 out. David has snuck 3 stolen bases already this year.
David will probably have a day off tomorrow, Gary.
Yes.
Against the right-hander.
Because you don't want to sit him against the lefty. Even that lefty. And he runs. Pitches high. Grandal's throw. And David's out at second base. Good throw by Yasmani Grandal. And that ends the inning. 2-4 on the caught stealing. But David tries to sneak another one. Not this time. 2-2 in the third. Tommy Lasorda giving some batting lessons.
Tommy, by the way, was a left-handed pitcher with a good curveball.
So he knew what it was to have a right-hander swing for the fences against him. Corey Seager leads off, swings over the curveball from DeGrom as we start the bottom of the third. Seager drove a double to left center to get the first run of the game home. Corey Seager, just 22 years old. First round pick by the Dodgers 4 years ago out of high school, and part of a young wave of talented shortstops that has flooded into the game over the last couple of years.
I thought he did a nice job too in the division series. It's not easy to ask a youngster to go out there and play in the post when he only had a few at bats, but his brother plays for the Seattle Mariners, Kyle. Two different body styles.
Yeah. Well, Corey hit .337 in his late season trial with the Dodgers last year, which is what earned him the starting shortstop nod in the postseason. But he is still a rookie this year, and he and Steven Matz may be the 2 top contenders for National League Rookie of the Year honors. Change up, bounce slowly. DeGrom off the mound, takes it himself. 1 out. Well, we talked about the young wave of shortstops, and take your pick because you've got a lot of different kinds of players in this half dozen.
That's what I love about it, that Carlos Correa, you know, they picture him as maybe being the next A-Rod. Xander Bogaerts is a guy that's going to win some batting titles. Francisco Lindor might be the flashiest fielder of all of them. Trevor Story, of course, got off to the great start this year, and we'll see how he does. My pick The player I really like is Addison Russell. I think he, at some point, might be the next Ryan Sandberg as far as Cub fans feel about him. He's a Derek Jeter kind of player. And he's young, too, and he's just 22 years old himself.
Well, it certainly harkens back to the era of Garciaparra and Jeter and A-Rod when those guys first came up and really revolutionized the position and made it a power position.
They really did. Well, you know, Cal Ripken, you know, got a lot of these bigger athletes to want to play the position. And Nomar, who does the pre and post and games here, see his numbers. Jeter, of course, and A-Rod still going.
Of course, his days as a shortstop long past now, but there was a time. 0-2 to Turner, and he fouls it off.
I think that's nice, though, that they're all kind of different kind of players. And a lot of times we spend our time talking about those bigger athletes that they're going to move positions. I think Seager's the only one that might someday maybe be a third baseman, but all the other guys are going to be shortstops.
Story, you think, too?
Well,
he can't be a third baseman because of the guy who plays
right.
next to him. You're never going to move him out of that spot. Hit sharply, big hop up to Flores, almost knocked him backwards, and he throws out Turner 2 away. Well, that's a long time ago, isn't it?
Happier times. They were having some years then that were just out of control. Boy, they were on every magazine. Three Rich Amigos.
GQ, you were on that one.
Yeah, I didn't need the other two guys too. I could handle it myself.
No bromance necessary. Adrian Gonzalez lifted a sacrifice fly his first time up. And DeGrom starting to get a little more life on his fastball. 2 balls and no strikes. That's hit sharply, and Flores can't get to this one, and Gonzalez finally has a Dodger Stadium hit, snapping a record 0 for 33 stretch in this ballpark. No Dodger had ever gone longer at Dodger Stadium without getting a hit.
Well, it makes sense that it's against Mets pitching because it always seems like he gets a lot of hits off the Mets pitching. Looked like a changeup there, maybe a fastball. Gonzalez has a couple of home runs in his career off DeGrom.
So 2 on the runner at first. Now Yasmani Grandal. It's interesting that you chose Russell as your pick out of that group.
I know everyone loves Correa.
Driven toward the corner off the bat of Grandal. Gonzalez digging to third. He's going to be held up there. It's a double for Yasmani Grandal. The Dodgers' 4th double in the first 3 innings. And with anybody else running but Gonzalez, they might have gotten a run out of it, but he just is so ponderous on the bases.
Just like his last start, DeGrom getting hit hard and giving up a lot of extra base hits. Nice job by Lagares. He gets there. He knows who's running, so he plays it pretty conservative. Just make sure you hit that cutoff man. Wilmer kind of panicked and threw it in there. But Gonzalez is a base-to-base kind of guy, even though he goes first to third. And he's not going to pick up speed as he goes.
Chris Woodward, the former Met third base coach for the Dodgers these days, and he had no thoughts about sending Gonzalez. There's Chris. Jock Peterson at the plate, 2 in scoring position with 2 out. And the backdoor breaking ball in for a strike. And this game really is reminiscent of that Game 5 start for DeGrom, a game where he had to manage difficulty all night before he finally found his groove.
He's already got a huge out, a couple of outs with Wood and Utley with 2 guys on. Can he do it again with Peterson?
Peterson double to left center, his first time up. Gonzalez at third, Grandal at second with 2 out. Changeup misses. 2-1.
Oh, that was a good pitch. Good changeup. Frustrated and disappointed was DeGrom with that one.
Yasiel Puig would be next. DeGrom retired the first 2 in the inning, but a single by Gonzalez, a double off the bat of Grandal. Now 2-1 to Peterson. And the curveball swung and missed, or just got a piece of it. 2-2.
That's a good pitch by DeGrom. You have a base open. Now you don't want to face Puig with the bases loaded, but Peterson is a guy who's just a free swinger. So anything close he's going to swing at. Now you have a 2-2 count. Fastball, chin high. He'll swing through.
Brown wants a new baseball. It's been 52 hard-fought pitches already for Jake. Two and 2 to Jock Peterson. Fastball up and away, full count.
Wanted to center that a little more, just couldn't. He threw that slider down and into Chase Utley to end the last inning. Can he go back there again? Don't want to give in to Peterson. Don't groove one.
Peterson will take his walks. Puig waiting on deck. 3-2 coming. And he fouled off the slider. So trying to backdoor that, or
no,
just back up?
He was trying to throw it down and in, but it ended up down in the dirt, and it ended up right. That's a beautiful pitch from Peterson. He missed it.
It's one thing we've noted right from the start of Jacob's career. He has that ability to find his way through on days when it's not working for him. It doesn't work every time, but he's got tremendous perseverance even when it's not his A day. 7th pitch coming to Peterson. And bounces one foul. Another slider from DeGrom.
This is the other thing we've seen, which is a sign, Gary, of not as much dominance by Jacob. The pitch count. Guys are fouling off tough pitches.
Well, he only struck out 2 batters in 5 innings in his last start against San Diego. 2 strikeouts so far tonight. Hasn't had more than 6 in any game this season. Again, the 3-2. Strike 3 call. Got him looking at a changeup. Peterson flat-footed. DeGrom gets out of another big jam with a strikeout. Struck out Utley with 2 in scoring position to end the 2nd. Strikes out Peterson to end the 3rd.
deserted on the beach at this hour. Well, it is almost 8:15 in the evening on the West Coast. Fourth inning, Wilmer Flores leads off against Alex Wood. Flores was at the plate when David Wright was caught stealing to end the third, so he gets a fresh turn at bat. Had an infield hit his first time up. Michael Conforto on deck, then Kevin Plawecki in the fourth. And Wilmer takes a fastball strike, 1-1. Alex Wood had a 1-2-3 first inning. Mets got a couple against him, helped out by a Chase Utley error, one of the 2 runs unearned in the second. One thing about Wood, even if you go back to his days as a Brave, he's loved the Dodger Stadium mound. And, you know, he's got plenty of company. This has always been known as a great place to pitch. 11 career appearances here, a 1.82 ERA. Right at the shortstop, Seager. And he throws out Flores, one away. Look at today's Verizon trivia question. Cue the dating game music. 3 active players with more than 160 hits against the Mets. Okay, well, 2 are easy.
Yeah, okay.
They used to be a double play combination.
Got it.
Who's the third? The other guy with that team?
No, I don't think he has that many hits. Yeah.
Right. Michael Conforto hit the ground ball that Utley threw away for an error to bring in the first Met run. Conforto 3 for 21 now against left-handed pitching. Terry Collins dropped him to 6th in the batting order, so it's just for the day against the lefty. See how that plays. Does not want to sit Conforto all the time against left-handers.
You try to make sense of this pitching on this mound because of the great pitchers and one of the greatest of all time. When you came to pitch here, it was almost like if you're a musician playing at Carnegie Hall. You know, you play at a lot of great venues, but that's a different venue. That's how it felt pitching here.
What about physically? I mean, because there was always talk about it, the mound being a little higher or home plate being a little lower or something different about it. The active pitching. Conforto lifts one along the right field line. Another long run for Puig. And again, he gets there. 2 out.
Well, you know, Gary, they've changed the stadium. The backstop used to go all the way back about 6-7 rows deep. They put a lot of different seats there. So when you used to stand on the mound, the catcher looked like he was 50 feet away from you. Because it was just cavernous behind him. Now, I don't know how it looks now. I've been on the mound and forever.
Right, they put more seats behind there.
Exactly, but it looked like the catcher was right on you, and then in the bullpen, it's not there anymore, but they used to have that like a aluminum siding behind you, and when you would throw a pitch and warming up, it would echo, reverberate through the entire bullpen, so you felt like you were throwing 150.
And then there's the fact that particularly at night, the ball just is never carried very well here. We talked about that in San Diego, similar circumstance.
Yeah, you'd get a couple of mulligans on pitches you would leave over the middle of the plate.
A curveball by Wood, and it's 0-2. Well, they've had their share of Cy Youngs here, haven't they? From Drysdale to Koufax to Kershaw.
A couple of those were when there was only one Cy Young, right?
That's right.
In all of baseball.
It wasn't until 1967, I believe, that they gave out a second Cy Young.
Don Drysdale was 53. Sandy, of course, 32.
Plawecki drove in a run with a hard hit to left his first time up. Don Sutton, Hall of Famer. 233 of his 324 wins were as a Dodger.
Sandy did his work in 6 years.
I am not familiar with the work of Brickyard Kennedy.
I don't. I'm sure he wasn't a small man to have that kind of nickname.
Plawecki down on strikes to end the inning. 4th strikeout for Alex Wood, and the Mets go 1-2-3 in the 4th. Still a 2-2 game. TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. First pitch slider by Jacob deGrom to get him ahead of Yasiel Puig, who reached on a throwing error by David Wright his first time up. Puig has certainly made his presence felt with his defense so far tonight. Puig hitting 7th in the order. Carl Crawford on deck. One-two coming to Puig, and a high fly ball deep left center. Cespedes back to the warning track at the wall, just enough room to make the catch. And there's a great example of the night air at Dodger Stadium. In almost every other ballpark in the country, that's a home run, but Puig got it up in the night air, and it stopped for Cespedes.
And the higher you hit it, the more it'll have a chance to stay in the ballpark. And Cespedes stayed with it and made the fine catch. I mean, you hit that ball in the daytime, that's 15 rows back. Something happened in the dugout there. And it stopped play. The umpire is out.
Everybody's looking into the Dodger dugout.
Oh, maybe they were thinking of challenging whether he trapped it against the wall instead of caught it clean. You know what I'm saying? For Cespedes?
Whether it hit the wall first,
yeah.
you're saying? No, certainly that did not happen. Didn't brace it against the wall or anything like that.
Just looking for stuff now.
Carl Crawford grounded out his first time up, and he flails at a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the Cubs won again tonight. 8 in a row. They beat the Padres 8-7. You mentioned Addison Russell.
What?
Double, triple, 3 RBIs tonight.
He's my man.
25-6. 1-2 now to Crawford. 25-6. That's the best since the '84 Tigers.
35-5, right? Willie Hernandez was the Cy Young and the MVP.
You watched it go final right there on the big board. John Lester got his 4th win. 1-2 coming. And Crawford lays off the slider. Oh, foul tip right into the glove for strike 3.
He thought
he was. Did he say? Did he think it was catcher's interference?
Yeah, he thought Carl Crawford thought it was catcher's interference. The home plate umpire is saying that he foul tipped the ball into the glove.
All right, we're going to have to suss this out now. Let's look.
It's a little slider down and in. Oh, he does hit the glove. Crawford did hit the glove. He did not touch the ball. Should be catcher's interference. He was right. Watch his bat. See how it hits the glove of Milwaukee?
Didn't hit the ball, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers are going to challenge this and send it to replay. Crawford talking to the young home plate umpire Nick Lentz. And, you know, the umpire's going off sound as much as anything.
Yeah, you can't blame that on the umpire because he's hearing 2 sounds, and the sound was the hitting of the glove, and then he thought it was a foul tip instead.
Now, is it that the Dodgers decided not to challenge, or is this not a challengeable call? A foul ball is not challengeable, so they're not challenging. There's a strike to
I don't
Alex
think
Wood.
catcher's interference is challengeable.
I mean, hit by pitch is
Yes.
challengeable. We'll have to check out the challenge rules because I don't think that's come up before for us. Let's check it out again. Hard to know definitively. In any event, it's a strikeout for deGrom, his 4th, and then Wood low bridges deGrom, and he's got himself a 2-out hit. 3rd hit of the year for Alex Wood. And that makes that call even bigger.
Well, Wood had some pretty good swings the first at bat, and this time he gets it. So the card that we get shows all the reviewable plays. If it's not on here, it's not reviewable. Catcher's interference is not on here.
Hit by pitch is fair and foul is not unless it's in the outfield. So
let's call Crawford. Hang with him.
Sorry, Crow. Sorry, Dave. So 2 out, a runner at first. Now Utley, who's doubled and scored and struck out tonight. So just would look like DeGrom might have an easy inning. The pitcher gets a 2-out hit. DeGrom gave up 2 runs in the first inning. In the second and again in the third, the Dodgers got runners to second and third. And each time Jacob was able to pitch his way through it. And that accounts for the 68 pitches now with 2 out in the fourth. I like the fact that Mets are not holding against Wood at first base. No swing by Utley, 1-1. Left-hand hitter up. A little fielding depth for Campbell at first. Campbell doesn't have a lot of experience playing first base, but I love the way he's handling this. He's playing behind him, but he's making sure that Wood knows he's there.
You know, Eric was taught the right way. He knows the game wherever they put him. A little fake inside and then back, but he's playing on the line against Utley.
Check swing, Tapper off DeGrom and right to Cabrera for the bare hand play, and he got him! Oh, wow! What a play by Cabrera! We'll see if the Dodgers challenge, but that's an extraordinary adjustment by Cabrera off the deflection to make the bare hand play and throw. Close play at first. Mark Rippiger made the call of out. And we'll wait to see if the Dodgers challenge.
I mean, a submarine throw that time by Cabrera. Changed lanes, submarine throw, and got something on it.
They're supposed to decide within 10 seconds as to whether they're challenging. The 10 seconds is up.
Campbell with the stretch. Does it get in the glove?
Very close.
Bang, bang play.
Very, very close.
When it's this close, though, can you change it? Definitive.
Well, they've got to decide. I mean, they're making everybody stand around. And they have decided not to challenge. So the inning is over and the play stands. An extraordinary play by Asdrubal Cabrera that we now get to celebrate. After 4, tied at 2. Sunset Boulevard?
Sunset Boulevard, Capitol Records. You know, the new HBO show, Vinyl, I don't know if you caught any of it, but it really shows what life was like for Capitol type records in the 70s. It was pretty interesting as the Ramones and other groups are coming up.
Well, Alex Wood goes back to the mound for the 5th inning in a 2-2 game. Mets will have Eric Campbell leading off against Wood. Campbell lined out to Puig in right field his first time up. Eric starting for the second time in the last 3 days at first base today after playing third base on Sunday in San Diego. Lucas Duda has struggled so mightily against lefties so far this year. So much more than last year. Lucas just 1 for 20 against lefties, so sitting again today. Jacob deGrom on deck. Campbell fouls one off his leg, 1-2.
Do you think that the way the rules have been changed now, that some years ahead we will see fans in the stands when a close play happens, they'll put 2 hands near their ears to replicate the headset? That we should check that.
Well, you know, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it's just a shame that nobody can react in the moment anymore. And that includes the players on the field. You know, usually in the past, when there's a close play and an umpire makes a call, player who gets the call in his favor gets to exult.
Yeah, that's
and the
right.
player who has it go against him might be demonstrative in some fashion, as Campbell's called on strikes. Now they can't even do that. The guy who has the call go against him is pointing in the dugout and indicating a headset instead of you know punching his fist or whatever honest human emotion he might have in the moment.
I'll take it a step further. You have a great defensive play made on the field. Sometimes you sprint in that dugout.
Right.
Can't wait to grab a bat and hit. You know.
Yeah. And now that's been taken away. Here's deGrom, who struck out his first time up trying to bunt. And he takes a strike. And I'll be very interested. You know, we had Rob Manfred on earlier this year, and we didn't discuss this kind of question. I would be very interested to have a conversation with the commissioner about this very subject, because it's come up so often lately about just that piece of it. What replay is taken away from the fan experience.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, over the course of a season, and we were talking about this between innings, those millimeter plays, they tend to even out. Strike 3 call, deGrom's out for the second out. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, and I think that the other thing we're discussing is that, you know, I have faith in the umpires. I have faith that if given the right platform to work, that if they do have a play that's just egregious, that they will get together and talk about it and pick each other up.
Right. And that's all you ask.
Yeah, right.
And that's why replay was instituted in the first place, to try and correct the egregious call. Lagares thinks about a bunt and takes ball 1.
Takes away from the rhythm of the game, and to me that's just not fun.
And I know everybody wants to get it right, but did we get it? Did we get that last call right?
Maybe not.
I'm not convinced that he wasn't safe.
That's right.
But what does it matter, right? You've got a system where sometimes the right call winds up being made, and sometimes it doesn't, which makes it no different than the way it was before.
Hey, listen, the spirit of the rule, no one would want to put a rule in that's going to take away from the game, but that's what it's doing. Right. And simple as that.
It's the law of unintended consequences.
Yeah.
2-1 to Lagares. And, you know, I know it's hard to go backwards. It really is. And it's hard for in any enterprise. But I would hope it would be something that Major League Baseball would at least look at and think about. And think about all the implications rather than just the surface implications of, quote, trying to get the play right. 3-1 now to Lagares.
On the West Coast, they still do the wave here. We saw one in San Diego also.
Different feeling in the ballpark on the West Coast.
I think the wave should only be allowed on the East Coast when they celebrate the '86 Mets in late May, right? Because that was a big part of the game then.
Lagares finds the hole past Gonzalez, and he's got himself a 2-out hit. And that's 4th hit of the night. Well, I think that the wave should be invoked by the fans. As you look at that base hit get by Gonzalez, when the curly shuffle is played on the video board to celebrate the '86 Mets.
Boy, I hope we get to see that. That'd be something.
If you're too young to remember the curly shuffle, how do I explain it? It was based off the Three Stooges, but He was so much more than that.
Yeah.
And Lagares came off the bag and he's tagged out. Lagares got back, but then he stumbled coming off the bag, and Gonzalez kept the tag on him. And Lagares is picked off to end the inning, and no argument from Juan. He knew it. Slid right off the bag, and Gonzalez kept the tag on him. And the first base umpire, Mark Rippiger, stayed with the play and made the call. That's how the top of the 5th ends. We're halfway through, tied at 2. Corey Seager leads off the home 5th inning against Jacob deGrom. Seager drove in the first Dodger run with a double in the first, 1 for 2 on the night. Seager, Turner, and Gonzalez against deGrom, who has slogged his way through 4. And the curveball misses, a ball and a strike.
Well, snap throw by Woods surprised Lagares, who's talking to Gonzalez and laughing. And then the snap throw over there. Watch, he steps on top of the bag. What happens?
Campbell knocks it down. deGrom gets over to cover, 1 out.
What happens in Los Angeles at night when it cools down is you get some real dew on the grass, and also gathers on the base also. So when you stand on the base, you'll sometimes slip off it, and that's what happened to Lagares. Embarrassing for Juan.
It's the second time in 2 nights that Ahmed has been out at a base without sliding.
He doesn't have to pass like Cespedes, right?
Here's Turner, and he takes a strike. They have changed the error that was charged with David Wright in the 2nd inning now to a base hit for Yasiel Puig. So properly so, I think.
Yeah.
No effect on deGrom's ERA because he was able to work out of that jam. So it's an infield hit for Puig rather than an error on Wright. We had a couple of scoring changes from last night's game, too, that had to be worked over after the game. Turner flies one down the right field line. Lagares over, but runs out of room. Last night there was a passed ball that was charged to A.J. Ellis of the Dodgers that was changed to a wild pitch. And there was an error added after the game on Wilmer Flores on a ball that caromed off him.
Oh, was that the one? I thought maybe the throw he made that went off of Lucas Duda.
Right, that one.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought Lucas could have caught that.
Right, there was an extra base. David with the spin around gets the throw on target to get Turner 2 out. And a good play by David. So 2 out for DeGrom, looking for his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Last year, including the postseason, 216 innings pitched. Same as Matt Harvey.
Nice jump from 178 2/3.
So what's that, 37 extra innings?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like an unreasonable number for pitching to the end of October.
It's very good when you think about it. And he was strong the whole way through.
Gonzalez had a base hit his last time up, and he hits this one out to center, chasing Cespedes back to the track at the wall. It's off the top of the fence. Gonzalez racing for second. Cespedes' throw, and he got him! Oh, wow! Cespedes throwing from the center field fence. Guns down Gonzalez for the final out of the inning. Gonzalez missed a home run by a couple of inches, and then Cespedes guns him down.
All the way in the air, lays the tag down. Now, they might challenge this because it was a strange tag. Cabrera thought he was going to get there quicker than he did. I thought he got the knee before he got in there.
I think he still got him.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are deciding whether to challenge. But Cespedes bails out DeGrom there, and they will not challenge. So that's how that inning comes to an end. The longest single you ever see from Adrian Gonzalez, and then Cespedes with a tremendous throw to gun him down at second. Cuba show off their defense tonight. This was Cespedes' turn.
I mean, just one hop off the center field wall in the air to Cabrera, who lays the tag down and just caught his knee enough to get the call.
And Cabrera leads off in the 6th inning. Here's the tag on the knee right before Gonzalez's foot got to the bag. 4th outfield assist of the year for Cespedes. He is something else. Most outfield assists in the majors since he got to the big leagues in 2012. Cabrera 0 for 2 tonight. He's grounded out and struck out. Mets have had just 4 hits against Alex Wood. And that misses inside. David Wright on deck, and then Yoenis Cespedes here in the 6th. Dodgers got their 2 runs in the 1st against DeGrom. Just like in Game 5, and just like in Game 5, DeGrom has held them from any further scoring. Grounded toward the middle. Seager gets over to his left. And the one-hop throw handled by Gonzalez for the first out. Let's check in with Doug Williams in the studio for a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Ryan Zimmerman 2 home runs in defeat. The Tigers snapping a 7-game losing streak with that win. So the Mets can expand their lead to a 1.5 over the Nats if they can win tonight. David Wright has struck out and walked tonight, 0 for 1. Takes the curveball for a strike.
It's the best we've seen Wood pitch, I think, against the Mets.
Maybe it is Dodger Stadium. Two coming. And that's low and in, David. Similar pitch that struck him out back in the first inning. Two and two. Cespedes looming. And David strikes out on the changeup. That's 7 strikeouts now for Alex Wood.
Like I said, this is the best I've seen him. Good changeup here after the fastball up and in. Counters with a good changeup away. Good sequence of pitching. And you see the motion hides it. You see the ball behind his back, then you lose it, and the hop at the end.
Ronnie, how does anybody learn to throw like that?
I don't. I think what happens for a lot of guys, Gary, is that when you learn how to throw, a lot of times you might be on the smaller side, so you learn different ways to throw the ball hard. Sometimes it includes all on every inch of your body to try to get it up there as fast as you can. You know, we saw that with Jordan Walden with the hop, and you know he's so unusual that I don't think there's any pitching coach that could have broke it down and said, "Hey, let's try to get you to a normal kind of state." Can't do it.
I would think it would make it awfully difficult when he struggles for a pitching coach to say, well, here's what you have to do to fix it.
Yeah, I think you know that's what makes great pitching coaches, that they can take a variety of styles and know what is the problem with each pitcher when they struggle.
It falls behind on Cespedes 3-0. You would certainly have to think Cespedes has a green light here, 2 out and nobody on. And I'm sure Wood is cognizant of that. Wilmer Flores standing on deck. Fastball for a strike, 3-1. Cespedes 1 for 2 tonight, 7 for 17 against left-hand pitching this year. Had some troubles with lefties last year. Takes a big rip at a fastball, 3-2. Cespedes came into the night second in the National League in slugging percentage, leading the league in RBIs, tied for second in home runs, leading the Mets home run charge. That's with 49 home runs in their first 31 games, the most they've ever had at this point in the season. No home runs tonight, though.
3 straight fastballs from Wood to Cespedes.
Well, he got the base hit off a changeup his first time up on a 3-2 pitch. And the curveball misses for ball 4. And so Cespedes is on base for the second time tonight. Second walk given up by Wood.
So you're always trying as a hitter to pick up the baseball. There you see it behind his back. But as he continues, you lose it there and never see it again until it comes almost equal with his shoulder. So 2 peaks of it doesn't always necessarily make it easier.
Well, as a hitter, you probably don't want to see it when it's behind his back, right? You're just looking for that release point.
You probably, you're just trying to concentrate on when he gets the top of his motion.
Wilmer takes a rip at a fastball, 0-1. Flores had an infield hit in the second and scored a run, grounded out in the fourth, 1 for 2. Lewis Coleman, who pitched last night, is up in the Dodger bullpen. I think they all pitched last night. Dodgers used 5 relievers last night. Rested their closer Kenley Jansen, who had gone 4 outs the day before in Toronto. What at 94 pitches tonight. He threw just 78 his last start in Tampa. An ill-fated 5-inning start. So you might be willing to go a little deeper with him tonight. Cespedes almost falls off the bag just as Lagares did, and he might have shaken himself up. He needs some time. That is a problem. Cespedes, who had that huge bruise on his right leg earlier this year, but it's his left leg that appears to be the issue here.
Well, you just hope he didn't twist his knee.
Well, just in the last inning, Lagares on a very similar play slid off the bag at first, and Cespedes, who's been reluctant to slide because of the bruise on his leg, goes back in standing, and he slides off the bag. And you see Ray Ramirez manipulating his lower leg there.
Yeah, manipulating his ankle. Watch when he hits the base. Oh, it just turns right over. That's like a basketball injury.
He was fortunate to stay on the base with that left foot, but clearly he's a little hobbled. Seeing if that left ankle can hold him.
That's the same kind of injury in basketball where you come down with a rebound and you land on an opponent's ankle or a foot and it kind of turns your ankle. That's what happened here.
Well, preferably you'd love to go in and get that ankle retaped after you do something like that. But Cespedes wants to stay in the game. It is amazing he kept his toe on the bag after that.
Didn't do anything wrong, just kind of a freak play.
0-1 to Flores. And the changeup off the plate. 1-1. Wilmer takes it high and away.
Because most pitchers are on about 100 pitch limit, this is when they become most vulnerable.
And Wilmer watches wide, and now Wood, who just issued a 2-out walk, is behind Flores, 3-1. Michael Conforto would be next. Three-1 from Wood, and Flores takes a strike. Full count.
Good pitch by Wood. Good pitch to take by Flores. Right on the knees on the outside corner.
So Cespedes will be running. Gonzalez will play behind him. Wood about to throw his 99th pitch of the night. And Flores lays off, but it's in for a call third strike. Wilmer was had. 8 strikeouts for Wood. Still 2-2 in the 6th. In a 2-2 game, Jacob deGrom has persevered through 5 innings. He'll face Yasmani Grandal to lead off the 6th. Grandal doubled down the right field line his last time up. And he takes the fastball high from Jacob. Jock Peterson on deck, then Yasiel Puig. deGrom gave up 2 runs in the first, worked out of trouble in the second, out of trouble in the third, gave up a hit in the fourth and another in the fifth. Where have you heard this story before? Oh, it was right here last October. I don't think Syndergaard's pitching the 7th. Not tonight. He'll pitch tomorrow.
Well, the big strikeout of Utley on the slider down and in, and Peterson on that changeup.
Two and one to Grandal. DeGrom gave up 4 extra base hits in the first 3 innings. Flores from the outfield grass throws out Grandal one away. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked 3 active players with 160 hits. Well, Rollins and Utley are 2.
Ryan Zimmerman?
There you go. Nice call.
When I was just going over the people that played long enough, you know, I didn't think Ryan had it because, you know, he's been hurt for some time.
But he came up in 05.
05,
right?
yeah.
That's a lot of years in the same division. Utley has one of those hits tonight. Jock Peterson, the batter. He doubled to left center to lead off the 2nd and was left stranded. Popped up. Campbell calling for it. And there are 2 out. Well, we came on the air tonight talking about the 2 faces of Jacob deGrom, right? The game 1 start against the Dodgers last year when he struck out 13 and 7 scoreless. And then the game 5 start where he really had to slog his way through, and we've seen that again.
Yeah, I think that just watching him this year, he just hasn't got on track yet, you know, and I know he had, you know, because of the baby and everything, he had a little slower start than most of the guys, but you're seeing a lot of things good here, that he has not approached that speed that we're used to seeing, 95 plus, but better breaking ball, better changeup, and the thing that you and I both love about him, we're talking about it in between innings, he just competes when he's out there, and that has to be part of being an everyday player when he was a youngster.
Yasiel Puig nearly hit one out his last time up. Sent Cespedes right back to the fence in left center field. There have been 2 balls that have nearly gone out of the park against deGrom in the last couple of innings. Puig in the 4th hit one to the fence that Cespedes caught, and then Gonzalez hit one off the top of the fence in the 5th, and Cespedes threw him out at 2nd. That's line to center, and Cespedes tries to measure this, and he reels it in like it's nothing. Bullet off the bat of Yasiel Puig, and he's been hitting it to the wrong guy. Still 2-2 after 6.
Well, Gary and Howie are back if they ever left, and they're looking for new challengers. Think you can beat them at Mets Trivia. Audition for the next Beat the Booth from home. For details on how to video audition online for Beat the Booth, check out SNY.TV today.
Now they say arrogance is often bred of insecurity. I think that's what those looks were. Michael Conforto leads off in the 7th and takes a curveball strike from Alex Wood. I have great fear when it comes to that Beat the Booth.
Well, I mean, you know, you're in a bad situation there. I mean, you're supposed to know everything, and no one can know everything.
Well, I assure you, I don't.
What, between you and Howie, you should.
See, it's the should part.
Okay,
that's what gets me. Because, you know, we almost lost last year.
Now, do you and Howie have the same period of time where you're really rock solid?
He's so good at like 62 through 67. Conforto strikes out. That's 9 now for Alex Wood. 1 out in the 7th. He's a few years older than I am, so he got to the Mets a little earlier than I did. Here's Howie. You texting Keith? Well, Alex Wood is at 102 pitches for the night. And Dave Roberts is going to take the baseball. Terrific outing for Wood. He goes 6 in the 3rd and strikes out 9. So there's no decision tonight, but a job well done by the Dodger lefty. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Pitching change for the Dodgers. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, now pitching for the Dodgers, number 67.
Lewis Coleman out of the Dodger bullpen for the 2nd straight night.
Yeah, we saw him pitch last night. He was very impressive, striking out Wilmer Flores and Kevin Plawecki.
And he gets Plawecki to start his assignment tonight. Coleman, the former Kansas City Royal.
Showed a real good breaking ball from the side in last night's game.
Plawecki drove in the 2nd Met run with a 2nd inning single. 1 for 2 tonight, and he takes a slider. Did he go? He went around. 1-1. Oh, terrific outing for Alex Wood. He gets a hug from his manager.
Dave Roberts, he's a hugger for a manager. You don't see that often.
Well, there's a tradition of that in Dodger lore. We showed Tommy Lasorda earlier tonight. He could be a hugger.
That's right. Here's Tommy.
Mets have only had one hit since Plawecki's run-scoring single in the second. And Coleman strikes him out for the second straight night. So after Wood struck out 9, Coleman makes it an even 10.
Well, what happens with pitchers like Coleman is that you very rarely see a guy throw from this angle. So as a right-handed hitter, very difficult to pick up the baseball.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Eric Campbell, and Jacob deGrom is coming out on deck, so it looks like he is sticking around. Jacob's throwing 90 pitches through 6 innings. Jerry Blevins is up in the bullpen. And Campbell takes a strike on the outside.
You know, you've asked that bullpen to get 9 or more outs. It seems like every single game. It would be great if Jacob could get through the 7th.
Well, I remember our first broadcast of this season. You mentioned the number 21 as being key for the Mets this year.
Well, I just think that they're so talented, these young guys, is that if they get 21 outs a game, it's going to put them in position to win games. It'll take a lot of stress off the bullpen. And, of course, you want your best players out there the longest.
And, you know, there's some people who would say, well, then they'll have too many innings this year. As Campbell strikes out, Grandal slaps a tag on him, but they've got plenty of guys that can plug in to give these guys time off if they need it. Stretch times tied at 2. Alex Wood out after 6 1/3, struck out 9. Jacob deGrom still going after 6. Gave up 2 in the first, nothing since. Carl Crawford leads off the 7th, lines one down the left field line, and that is a foul ball. So Crawford making a bid for an extra base hit. He'll come back. Howie Kendrick is out on deck to pinch hit. Dave Roberts put every available left-handed bat in the lineup tonight against deGrom, so he has no left-handed bench. And so the right-hand hitter Kendrick on deck to pinch hit. Crawford stops the swing and a tie, 1-1. deGrom had his first 1-2-3 inning in the 6th after slogging his way through the night. Crawford shoots this one out to left, playable for Conforto. 1 out. So one away now. Howie Kendrick will be the pinch hitter, batting for Coleman, who did his job, striking out his only 2 hitters for the 2nd straight night. Kendrick started at second base last night against the left-hander and went 1 for 4, but it's been a rough beginning to the season for Kendrick. Pedro Baez, remember him?
Yes, I do.
David Wright got the big hit off Baez last year in the division series.
On a split finger. The guy who throws 100 miles an hour. Infielder turned reliever.
Takes a lot of time.
Well,
they've got a few guys like that. 1-1 to Kendrick. Game 3 of this series tomorrow night. Noah Syndergaard gets the ball for the Mets, and we'll get our first look at Kenta Maeda, the Japanese import for the Dodgers. 9 o'clock our coverage tomorrow night on SNY. Maeda is not a hard thrower,
but he has an assortment of pitches, assortment of breaking balls, changes speeds on his breaking ball, which you don't see a lot in today's game.
So he's more Tanaka than Darvish.
Tanaka, El Duque, maybe that kind of pitcher. Yeah, no, he's not Yu Darvish. Paid like Yu Darvish, but maybe he's not as. Not that strikeout.
He didn't get
pitcher.
that much money, though, did he?
No.
It was actually a pretty team-friendly contract, if I recall correctly. Two to Kendrick. Slow ground ball. Flores comes in on it and has just enough time to throw out Kendrick. 2 out. Yeah, Maeda got 8 years, $25 million. That's a team-friendly contract.
Oh, that is. I guess I must only pay attention to the big contracts. I don't pay attention to the smaller ones.
He's gotten off to a tremendous start. Maeda has. He's only 28 years old. Pitched for Hiroshima for 9 years. His record in Japan: 97-67 with a 2.39 ERA for his career in Japan. Get our first look at him tomorrow. Meanwhile, Chase Utley up for the 4th time. Utley led off the first inning with a double and scored a run. 1 for 3 on the night. And DeGrom bounces the slider 2-0. Utley was victimized by a terrific defensive play by Asdrubal Cabrera his last time up. A ball that DeGrom deflected, and Cabrera came in with a bare hand grab, and in one motion was able to throw out Utley by an eyelash. DeGrom looking for that 21st out. And he gets a knee-high slider in for a strike. 2-1.
Nice pitch there. Behind in the count. Utley sitting the course on a fastball, and he counters with the slider.
Two-one coming. Another slow ground ball. DeGrom will take it himself and give it to Campbell. Side retired. 6 in a row retired by DeGrom to get him through 7. Didn't start well, finished well.
Let's get him a win.
Box score. Mets scored both of their runs in the second inning. Kevin Plawecki with the only RBI. The other came in on an error by Chase Utley. 2-2 as we go to the 8th, and the Dodgers will bring in Pedro Baez. Jacob deGrom, I don't know what you can even say about him at this point. Another game where it just started looking like he was going to have nothing, and he was able to kick it in gear and limit the damage.
I mean, he gave up 2 in the first and 6 scoreless innings, the no base on balls. I was saying to you before, Gary, he's one of those guys that you're going to have to beat him. And by what I mean by that, you're going to have to get hits off him because he's not going to beat himself.
Well, there is Baez working in his 15th game this year.
I mean, striking out the world so far. He can have some control issues, though. And I explained before, he can throw the ball 100 miles an hour, good split finger, occasional slider.
It was in game 1 of the division series last year. Mets were nursing a 1-0 lead in the 7th. Clayton Kershaw walked 3 batters, and he was taken out of the game. And Baez was brought in to face David Wright, worked the count full, and he threw him a 3-2 breaking ball, and David got a base hit to drive in 2 runs, and that was that for that game. Curtis Granderson pinch hitting for deGrom as we start the 8th inning.
That hit was right up the middle, wasn't it?
Yep. Granderson getting the night off, had a leadoff home run last night. Went 2 for 5 in the opening game of the series. And thinks about the bunt. Can't get it far enough away from home plate, though. And an easy play for Grandal. Well, they left the left side open, but Granderson couldn't push it far enough. And that's the first out.
Again, we're seeing the same thing happen to these hitters that are trying to take advantage of the shift. They're trying to drag bunt it. They should just turn around and punch it to the left side. But listen, easier said than done. I'm up here.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to learn because that's not something you do naturally. 1 out. Here's Juan Lagares. 1 for 3 on the night. Single to right his last time up. Then got picked off first base when he slid off the bag. Baez misses down with the slider for ball 1. Pedro Baez, 28 years old. Got his first big league action 2 years ago, and then became a mainstay in the Dodger bullpen last year. Lagares hits one toward the middle, a base hit. Over comes Crawford to cut it off. Lagares takes a hard turn and then goes back and settles for a single. Second hit of the night for Juan Lagares.
Well, just a bullet up the middle. And the way it split the outfielders, Juan was thinking of taking second because Crawford does not throw the ball very well. But nice swing there from Juan Lagares.
Most of his hits have come against left-handers, but left in to face the right-hander, and Lagares gets aboard. So the Mets have the tie-breaking run on first as Dribble Cabrera up.
Gonzalez explaining to Lagares that the top of the bag's a little slippery. Watch yourself.
I think he's experienced that for himself. Well, Lagares is not an accomplished base stealer. And we'll see whether he thinks about trying to swipe one here. 7 steals last year for Juan.
Baez takes a long time to deliver ball to plate. The counter is Grandal has a great arm.
Grandal's already thrown out 1 base stealer tonight. David Wright back in the 3rd. And Cabrera takes a strike on the inside at 96. Cabrera 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out twice and struck out against Alex Wood. Now he turns around about left-handed. Antonio Bastardo, who's worked each of the last 2 days up in the Mets bullpen. Murray said before the game he'll probably stay away from Jim Henderson, but everybody else is available, including Jerry Reese Familia, who's worked each of the last 3 days. And that hit him, and Cabrera is aboard. So Baez running one too far inside after getting a strike on the inside corner on the first pitch, and now the Mets have 2 men on.
That's twice we've seen Cabrera hit in the last couple of games. This one does not catch Oh, maybe just caught the elbow guard that he had on, but still smarted.
Hit by Scott Kazmir last night. That's 5 times now Cabrera's been hit this year. That's the most on the club. So now David Wright, who had the big hit against Baez in Game 1 of the division series last year, will get to face him with 2 men on. David's 0 for 2 in a walk tonight. Lagares, the tie-breaking run at second. Cabrera at first with 1 out. And Cespedes looming on deck. And Wright lays off the slider, ball 1. Alex Wood went 6 1/3, allowed just 1 earned run, 4 hits, struck out 9. Lewis Coleman struck out his 2 batters. But now Baez has given up a base hit and hit a batter to put the Dodgers in jeopardy in the 8th. Bullpen, especially getting to their closer Kenley Jansen, has been a big concern for the Dodgers early in the season. And Wright watches a strike on the outside corner at 98, 1-1. Alex Wood has had 2 games this year where he had a lead and the bullpen let it get away.
That's right, 6 losses out there for that Dodger bullpen.
Dodgers sitting at 500 for the season. Fastball strike, 1-2. There's a chance that at the end of tonight, every team in the National League West could be under 500. Dodgers and Giants started the day at 500. Arizona and Colorado each a game behind. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies tonight. The Giants are down 4-0 to Toronto in the 9th inning.
Going to be alive on the bases here. Baez might try to bottom out that breaking ball ahead in the count.
1-2 coming. And Wright takes the fastball upstairs, 2-2.
I think that slow start by all the National League West helps teams like Arizona and San Francisco.
And the Diamondbacks were hit with a huge blow right before the season began with A.J. Pollock going down, and Shelby Miller's underperformed expectations, but they might have a chance in this division.
Goldschmidt hasn't even hit yet.
Right, and a home run tonight, which helps. Two on, 1 out. 2-2 to Wright. Struck him out with a fastball. So Baez gets a small measure of revenge against Wright, and that's the 2nd out.
Well, he wasn't going to make the same mistake twice. He wasn't going to throw the breaking ball to David Wright. Came with the cheddar and threw it right by him.
So it's left to Cespedes with 2 out and 2 on. Cespedes tonight has singled and walked after he reached first base in the 6th. He had trouble getting back to the bag on a pickoff attempt and rolled his ankle, but stayed in the game and appears to be okay.
I mean, he's had quite a game. Only makes sense for him to get a hit to put the Mets ahead.
Made a 232-foot throw from the warning track in center field to second base to gun down Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, that's further than guys' long toss. And the slider well outside for ball 1. I like some of those StatCast numbers.
Well, you know, pitchers work on throwing the ball to certain places all the time. Cespedes has not worked on that throw ever because it comes natural.
Well, we've seen him make some great ones. The one he threw home against Atlanta. The one last year, was it against the Pirates where he threw out a runner at third?
That's right.
Lagares at second, Cabrera at first with 2 out. And Cespedes taking all the way. The ball to strike.
He'll do that every once in a while. It's almost like he feels uncomfortable at the plate and he just lets it go by.
Might have learned it from Cologne. Lying in the weeds. Utley keeping an eye on the base runner. Lagares at second. Cespedes takes a big cut at 98 miles an hour. 1-2.
Well, that's one of the first times we've seen a relief pitcher late in the game try to exploit that up and in on Cespedes.
One-two coming, and he fouls back the high fastball at 99.
Cespedes cut down his swing a little bit to be able to foul that back. He knows only a base hit needed here.
Game in which the Mets have never led. Dodgers got 2 in the first. Mets tied it in the second. It's stayed 2-2 ever since.
Baez throwing gas, and that whole right side of the infield totally open.
Base hit to right field. You got Puig with that cannon of an arm. 1-2. Rolled to shortstop. Seager's got it, and the side retired. So Baez able to get out of the trouble of his own making. Still 2-2 going to the bottom of the 8th. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. And by Heineken, open your world. Inside the Vin Scully press box, we are merely Gary and Ron. Antonio Bastardo will pitch the bottom of the 8th.
Only got an out in last night's game. A walk to batter, was really bailed out by Jim Henderson.
Corey Seager leads off in the last of the 8th inning. Seager 1 for 3 tonight, doubled in a run back in the first. Call strike to Seager, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, earlier in the game when you guys were talking about the young shortstops, you mentioned Nomar Garciaparra. He works in TV with the Dodgers, and he loves Seager, not just offensively, but he loves him as a shortstop. And there has been talk, Ron, I think you mentioned it.
Drilled to right field toward the corner. That ball is one hop up into the stands for a ground rule double for Seager. And that's how the bottom of the 8th begins. Seager's second double of the night. And Bastardo in immediate trouble.
Looked like a hanging slider. See his fingers off the ball. and trying to bend that ball to the outside corner, but Seager did not let him get it there.
So Bastardo, who had himself a wonderful Sunday and a not-so-good Monday, finds himself in immediate jeopardy on Tuesday. And now Justin Turner will step in with the go-ahead run at second and nobody out, and the Mets will walk him intentionally and go after Adrian Gonzalez instead. Now, I know it's the left-hander on the mound, but boy, that is really buying trouble.
Well, Gonzalez has a couple hits in this game. We know that he went, 0 for 33 here at Dodger Stadium. But Gonzalez is the best RBI guy in that lineup. He has been for the last half dozen years, last 4 or 5 years.
So Gonzalez is going to get an opportunity with 2 aboard and nobody out. And there's ball 4 to Turner.
Gary, we'll talk more about Seager as the series progresses, but just to wrap this up quickly, what Nomar Garciaparra was saying is that he is a natural shortstop that passes the eye test, and that's something that you have to take into account despite his size, that he's a guy similar to Asdrubal Cabrera, that he just is a shortstop.
So here's Gonzalez, who drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the first and has singled twice since. The second one was about 6 inches from being a home run off the center field fence, and then Cespedes threw him out at second. So a moment of truth for Bastardo, first and second and nobody out. And Gonzalez hits one down to third. David will take it to the bag. His throw to first against Gonzalez, not in time. David just doesn't have the arm strength right now to make that play. Even with Gonzalez running to first base, he could not turn over the double play.
Catcher, number 9.
Well, he had a long way to go, but the way he's throwing now with that sidearm sling just does not have any carry on it to get Gonzalez, the hustling Gonzalez, at first base.
Do you think David had a better chance for 2 by going to second?
I like that play better, to tell you the truth. It's a shorter throw for him. You know, you don't have Walker out there. You got Wilmer, but still, Wilmer can turn it over.
So Turner now at second, Gonzalez at first with 1 out, and Yasmani Grandal coming to the plate. So that's an enormous out for Bastardo, but it would have certainly been a lot better if he'd gotten 2. Grandal 1 for 3 in his career against Bastardo.
Good play, by the way, by Campbell, who came off the bag and blocked that ball that David threw over there.
Grandal had a double down the right field line in the third. He turns around about right-handed against Bastardo. Turner dancing off second. Flores keeping an eye on him. So is Bastardo, and time finally asked for by Grandal.
Don't even worry. Turner's not going anywhere, so let him dance all that he wants to out there. Hit the hitter.
Bastardo takes a look. Grandal's only had 10 at-bats as a right-hand hitter this year, 3 for 10. 2 on and 1 out, 8th inning tie game. And he was about to step out, and Bastardo threw the pitch, and Grandal fouled it back. He wanted to ask for time.
Well, I think he was asking for time, but he never got it from the young umpire. What you don't see is that when a guy's asking for time, him swinging at the pitch. He's asking for it, he steps back in and swings. You never see that.
So that gets Bastardo ahead in the count. Again, Turner jumping off second. Bastardo ignores him, and Grandal fouls it off. Coming up tonight after the postgame show, it's Geico Sports Night. Broadway Joe says sign now. I think Jet fans would sign up for that. Maybe bring Broadway Joe back. Let him play quarterback. Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30.
Every once in a while, Broadway Joe comes out.
Yes,
you know?
well, different ways sometimes. Wecky setting up inside. 0-2 to Grandal. Drive in the air, deep left field. Conforto back. Has room to make the catch. And Turner scrambles back to second. Another ball that just didn't quite carry for the Dodgers tonight. They've had a few of them. And Bastardo can breathe deeply again. 2 out.
Yeah, we saw Puig earlier. Grandal caught all of that. And the ball just died in left field. I mean, from our perch here, as soon as he hit that, I thought that was gone. Let's see if I'm right. Did he catch it on the good part of the bat or a little off the end? Maybe a tiny bit off the end, but still.
Didn't miss by much.
No.
He's played here long enough.
Yes, he has.
So, Bastardo gave up a double to start the inning. Now has a chance to get through it against the left-hand hitter Jock Peterson. Little surprised that Dave Roberts doesn't go into a right-handed pinch hitter here. But the Mets have Hansel Robles up in the bullpen, so not having a left-handed bat on the bench, he prefers this matchup to one of his right-handed bats against Robles. Turner at second, Gonzalez at first with 2 out. Peterson 1 for 3 tonight, doubled back in the second inning against DeGrom. And a pickoff try, and Turner gets back to the bag with Cabrera covering.
We can't ever run that play in slow-mo because it wasn't slow-mo. Bastardo just wanted to show Turner had to move back there.
Turner didn't have that big a lead. Cabrera playing right behind him in the shift against Peterson. Two on, 2 out. And Peterson takes a strike. Well, Bastardo showed you on Sunday in San Diego that he's not thrown by these situations. Came into a bases loaded, nobody out jam against the Padres. Got 2 strikeouts and a pop-up to get through it.
Pretty simple. He just keeps pumping in that fastball. Peterson only has 1 hit against the left-hander this season, but it is a home run.
You got Trace Thompson and Kike Hernandez, Charlie Culberson, all right-hand hitters sitting on the bench for the Dodgers. Oh, 1 to Peterson, and a fastball just missed. And 92 from Bastardo, a ball and a strike.
You know, you're a new manager, Gary, and you're got a young player that you think is going to be a cornerstone of your team. Is that way in your decision, you know, saying, you know, let's give him a chance, see if he can come up with a big hit? Learning as you go along.
One coming. And Peterson takes a big rip. 1-2. He's got one of those home run swings every time he comes up.
He does. This is the swing that every kid has in the backyard during wiffle ball. I don't care who you were. Peterson's brought it to the major leagues.
Well, he would certainly appear vulnerable to the upstairs fastball with that swing. Now Bastardo 1 strike away from getting out of it. Wouldn't offer at that high fastball. 2-2. Yasiel Puig would be next. Third day in a row for Antonio Bastardo, and throwing harder tonight than he did each of the last 2 days. 2 out, 2 on, 2 and 2 to Peterson. Just inside, full count. Well, that'll get the runners in motion. Turner at second, Gonzalez at first will be going. 3 and 2, 2 out. Peterson strikes out a lot. He walks a lot. He hits a lot of home runs. He'll have a big impact on your FIP. Three-2 coming. Ground ball down to Campbell. Side retired. Antonio Bastardo does it again. Works around the leadoff double in the 8th and keeps it tied going to the 9th. Then get Citi Field for Family Sunday, May 22nd, when the Mets square off against the Brewers at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a bat and ball set as part of Major League Baseball's Play Ball Weekend. After the game, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Well, Antonio Bastardo, job well done tonight after a rough beginning. Kenley Jansen, the Dodger closer, comes into a tie game in the 9th.
Coming off a 4-out save on Sunday in Toronto. Baez, a former infielder turned pitcher. Jansen, a former catcher turned closer.
And Lucas Duda will bat for Wilmer Flores, leading off in the 9th inning. Lucas 0 for 2 with a couple of walks last night. So it's Duda, Conforto, and Plawecki due up. And the first pitch, fastball for a strike. Jansen has that natural cutter.
Yes.
Mets had an outing against Jansen here last year where he was unable to throw his cutter for strikes, and he started resorting to curveballs, which was a little unusual. But normally these guys are no fun for left-hand hitters.
Although those two pitches were cutters on the outside part, good to hit for Duda, but he took both. It's the one in on your hands that's the issue.
1 for 5 against Jansen, whom the Mets were not able to touch in 3 outings in the postseason. They had just 1 hit in those 3 games. Jansen saved the 2 Dodger wins. And Duda fouls off the 0-2 pitch. Alex Wood went 6 1/3, allowed 1 earned run, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts. Lewis Coleman struck out his 2 batters. Pedro Baez got himself in and out of trouble in the 8th. And now Jansen working the 9th. The Giants have lost 4-0. Jay Happ shut him out for 8 2/3. Toronto beats the Giants 4-0. So if the Dodgers lose this game, every team in the West will be under 500. Duda pops it up. Who's going to get it? Out goes Grandal, and he makes the grab. Turner, I'm not sure was going to get there. And Grandal caught it 50 feet up the line.
Boy, that was a good play by Grandal. He impresses me every time I watch him play. He knew the situation. He knew that his team was in the shift, so he was responsible for anything up in the air down that third base line, and he made the play. Usually you throw the mask way out of the way, but maybe you're not used to it when you're catching the ball 50 feet away from the home plate.
Maybe he's afraid it's going to hurt somebody through that mask.
Cheat sheet. Grandal.
I haven't seen that in baseball. That's a football contraption. Michael Conforto 0 for 3 tonight, gets to face a right-hander for the first time. And takes the cutter inside for ball 1. Michael just 3 for his last 32. And it all started when Madison Bumgarner gave him a rough once-over. And he has not been able to fight his way out of it since. I've got a feeling that Michael will not be in the lineup Thursday when the Mets face Clayton Kershaw.
Well, he worked all winter on trying to fight off and be quick enough to that ball in the inside corner. He should see one of those in this at bat against Jansen.
Maybe he'll hit it off the foul pole.
Like off Greinke?
That's right. Did that here last year. Bounces that one foul, 1-2. That's about as hard a hit ball as we saw all of last year. The ball Conforto hit off Greinke, off the outside of the foul pole.
And how loud was that? I mean, I was in the ballpark. That was as loud as anything I've ever heard.
Well, it's because the crowd was kind of silent.
That's right. They were wishing it foul.
Plawecki waiting on deck. Jansen ahead 1-2. And Conforto fouls it back.
It's interesting to hear Terry Collins. He was asked about Conforto. He said, listen, he got red hot for 2 weeks. A lot of hitters do that in this league. He's going to come back to the field every once in a while, but he couldn't sing his praises more. He said this kid's going to be a giant.
And Conforto goes down on the slider. Grandal fishes it out of the dirt, and that's the second out. So Jansen has his first strikeout, 2 away, and Plawecki coming up. Hey, how about this game tonight in Texas? This was your classic White Sox-Rangers game, right?
Yeah.
Texas was down 11-6. They came up in the bottom of the 8th and scored 7 runs. Ryan Rua hit a 3-run homer to put them over the top, and they beat the White Sox 13-11.
Outfielder for Texas.
Ian Desmond had a 2-run triple in that 7-run inning as well. Here's Plawecki, who drove in the second Met run with a base hit back in the 2nd inning.
So I'm guessing when Grandal goes to that cheat sheet, it really is the scouting report on all these Mets hitters. So it gives him kind of an outline of what he wants to do against these hitters.
I'm surprised all the fielders don't have those to figure out where they're supposed to be positioned against each hitter. And I know Wilmer Flores keeps a little cheat sheet in his hat when he's out in the field.
Right.
Plawecki with a 2-0 advantage. Eric Campbell waiting on deck. Hits it sharply, but right at Utley. And that retires the side. Jansen comes in for a 1-2-3 inning to the bottom of the 9th, tied at 2. Mets-Dodgers game with play-by-play breakdowns and all the post-game reactions on Mets Blog, presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV. Here's Chevy driver on the majors. Ryan Zimmerman hit 2 home runs, but the Tigers outlasted the Nationals 5-4 to snap a 7-game losing streak. The Brewers got 5 strong innings from Zach Davies and beat the Marlins 10-2, and Trevor Bauer 7 scoreless for the Indians as they shut out the Astros. Lucas Duda stays in at first base. Eric Campbell moves to second, and Hansel Robles will pitch the bottom of the 9th.
Pitched an inning last night with a strikeout. Fine ERA for Hansel through his first 16.
Yasiel Puig leads off in the last of the 9th, taking all the way a call strike. Puig's hit the ball hard tonight. And an infield hit in the 2nd, hit one to the center field fence that Cespedes caught in the 4th, and hit a bullet to center that Cespedes caught again in the 6th. Cespedes and Puig have been front and center with their defense tonight, trying to outmatch each other. Puig's made a diving catch. Cespedes made a great throw. But since the 2nd inning, nobody has been able to score. Dodgers got 2 in the 1st. Mets got 2 in the 2nd. That's been it. And a slider from Robles for a high strike, 1-2.
Again, Robles using that slider more and more. Scouting report, if you go up against him, he said he likes his fastball, likes to use it.
Carl Crawford on deck, and then the pitcher's spot for the Dodgers in the 9th. 1-2 coming to Puig. Jammed him, and he fouls it off. Jacob deGrom went 7, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. There's Jerry Blevins up in the bullpen. Antonio Bastardo gave up a leadoff double to Seager in the 8th, but was able to pitch out of trouble. And now Robles trying to send it off to extra innings. Carl Crawford waiting on deck. Mets 2 runs, 5 hits. The Dodgers 2 runs and 9 hits. Quick pitch, and Puig pops it up. Campbell calls for it. 1 out. So the quick pitch effective, getting that ball in on Puig for the first out. Now Crawford has gone 0 for 3 tonight. Trace Thompson out on deck to pinch hit. Mets have had 1 walk-off loss this year. That was 11 innings in Philadelphia. They haven't had a walk-off win at Citi Field. They've been bludgeoning people at home this year. And Crawford takes a slider for a strike, 1-1. Well, Crawford spent a couple of weeks on the disabled list with a back problem. Came back about 2 weeks ago. His play has been sporadic, hitting 8th in the order these days. Shoots one out to left field, and Conforto's right there. 2 out. So Robles has retired the first 2 in the last of the 9th. And now Trace Thompson, who accounted for the 2 Dodger runs last night with an opposite field 2-run homer off Steven Matz, will come up as a pinch hitter. Trace's brother got to watch the greatest overtime performance by any player in the history of the NBA last night.
17 points.
17 in 5 minutes. Come on. Unanimous MVP?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Trace's brother is Klay Thompson, who plays with Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors. Chris Hatcher getting ready in the Dodger bullpen after Jansen worked the 9th. He'll work just the 1 inning. And a generous strike for Robles, and it's 0-2. Thompson stays alive. So a no decision for Jacob deGrom tonight. Job well done by Jake, whose ERA through 5 starts is a sparkling 2.12, even though he really has not hit his stride yet, and that makes it that much more impressive.
But his last few innings, you saw more of Jacob deGrom that we know.
Again, the 0-2 from Robles. And Thompson takes up and in. David Wright playing right along the line at third base.
Outfield, no doubles, extremely deep.
One-two, quick pitch, and a check swing foul. There's the quick pitch slider from Robles.
You know, the scouting reports for the Dodgers must say that the Familia, Robles, and others will quick pitch you. But the one thing that Robles does that Familia doesn't do, he does throws a slider on the quick pitch sometimes.
One-two to Thompson. Off the plate. 2-2. If Thompson can keep it going, Chase Utley would be next. Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming to Thompson in a moment.
Robles shook his head like whatever Milwaukee put down, he didn't want to throw it.
Okay, try this. And Thompson smacks one deep left center. Back goes Conforto near the wall, and it's out of here. Trace Thompson wins the game with a home run in the bottom of the ninth. Thompson's 4th home run of the season, his 2nd in 2 nights. And the Dodgers walk off with a 3-2 win.
Well, you had the shake-off from Robles. Plawecki didn't want to throw a certain pitch, went to the fastball away, did not get it away. And Trace Thompson, 2nd home run in 2 nights, this one a walk-off.
First career walk-off RBI for the rookie Trace Thompson. And the Mets suffer their 2nd walk-off loss of the season as the Dodgers even up the series with a 3-2 win.
Supposed to be fastball away. Watch it come back over the middle of the plate and up. Similar to the pitch he hit out down the right field line last night. This time he pulls it. This kid's got some promise.
Well, the Dodgers got him from the White Sox after an impressive late season performance last year on the South Side. And he sends him home happy at Chavez Ravine tonight with a 2-out home run in the bottom of the ninth.